And this week's Compute This, the actual cost of having a printer at home.
You've probably seen some advertised as costing pennies per page. Thor Schrock is here to educate us and help us protect our budgets.
Oh, he sure is. He's the owner of Schrock Innovations. Good to see you, Thor.
Thanks for having me, guys.
We all use our printers at home, and I know a lot of people print stuff all the time. My dad wants me to print pictures, pictures.
Yeah.
Pictures really use a lot of ink.
They do. And you're talking about protecting your budget. One of the things that's, I'm going off prompter, everybody, I'm going off prompter.
Hold on.
But this morning, Zappos.com, one of the biggest shoe sales companies in the world, was hacked. It's a subsidiary of Amazon. 24 million Amazon passwords were compromised. The next time you log into your Amazon accounts, guys, it's going to ask you to change your password. Change your password. Now, we all know that we're supposed to have 27 different 16-digit randomly generated passwords with symbols and capitals and numbers in them and all that stuff, but most of us have one or two go-to passwords that we use. If you're using your go-to password for this, guys, you really need to change that password on other sites as well. They compromise parts of credit card numbers, all the email addresses, all the customer information, addresses, phone numbers, everything. 24 million people compromised. So just a little heads up on that. It doesn't have anything to do with the printer just yet.
Right. But if you have other accounts you use the same password for, like a Gmail account or a Hotmail account, whatever it is, you want to change those as well?
You use this as your hopefully more than annual push to rotate your passwords. So yeah, take a moment to rotate some of those passwords this morning and keep yourself safe. But as far as the printers go, a lot of people don't realize printer ink is probably the most expensive commodity on the planet. You know, everyone's worried about, you know, Iran and the flow of oil getting closed off and all this stuff.
Printer ink is the danger? Printer
ink, seriously, it could cripple the economy. If your computer, if you filled your gas tank, let's say, with printer ink, it would cost you about $20,000 to fill your gas tank with HP printer ink.
Why is it so expensive?
Well, that's where they make their money.
Yeah. I mean,
right, and you can get a printer for $50.
And that's why they actually subsidize the cost of the printers. So the printers, you don't pay anywhere near. I mean, you got touchscreen technology on the printer, and you know the printer. Some of the new HP printers have a little touchscreen thing that looks like an iPhone on the front. That interface costs the same as it does on an iPhone or a Droid or anything else. But when you touch those buttons and everything, all that costs a lot of money. That printer might cost $300 or $400. HP, and you only pay, you know, $100, $200 for it. HP is making the money back by selling the ink. In fact, they went all the way to the Supreme Court to fight a case that had their ink. Everyone else, a commodity is something you use up, like coffee. You know, use up your coffee. It's a commodity. Well, printer ink you'd think would be a commodity. No, HP went all the way to the Supreme Court to have it defended as intellectual property and not a commodity that gets used up. So therefore, you know, they want to make it illegal for anyone to refill those cartridges or do anything else. So your printer, you know, I'm probably sending a message that's going to split households here. This is going to cause strife, I think, because you know my wife prints a lot. We homeschool our son, so you got to print a lot of stuff, and I'm always like, oh, we're out of ink again. Yeah. I go to the store. I don't buy them one at a time. I buy them two at a time, so I don't have to go to the store as often.
Yeah.
But the challenge you come up against is this ink is so expensive, and when they tell you it costs 4 cents per page.
Right. What's the real cost? Do you think?
That's the thing. There's no way to measure it because no two people print the same thing. When you print a photo, that's not costing you 2 to 4 cents a page. That's costing you a lot more. When you print a page of text or a letter to grandma, that's not costing you your homework report. Kids, you do have to print your homework still. This is
that's not your message.
Yeah, this is not the message. Yeah. You're going to have to print out those reports and turn them in. But if you can avoid using the printer, you can actually save a substantial amount of money on your monthly budget just based on printer ink. You don't realize how much you spend. $14 a cartridge. Some printers have as many as 6 cartridges in them. I mean, you're spending a lot of money on printer ink.
I don't even print pictures anymore. I just send them directly to Walgreens or whatever the place is and have them print them for 29
You mentioned
cents.
HP and the lengths they've gone to protect their bottom line here. Is there one brand or one type that's better than another if we're looking to save?
When it comes down to it, as far as the printers go, and this is the thing, there's been an evolution in printer technology. It used to be your cartridge had a head in it, and the head would get gummed up or clogged, and people, I got to wipe it off, it's all gummed up.
Right.
Well, now with a printer cartridge, when you buy it, when you first put it in the printer, it starts a clock running. And after 90 days in an HP printer, it says this cartridge is expired. If you continue to use this cartridge, you void the warranty on your printer. Some people like to go get refills at the office supply store and things like that. You pop that in, and what they have to do, they put a microchip inside the cartridges now. That you can't just drill a hole in the top like the old days and spill ink all over the table and lay out the newspapers, you know. You can't do that anymore because there's a microchip in there. When that cartridge goes empty, you can't just refill it because the microchip says this is an empty cartridge. So you have to actually take it to a place like Cartridge World, for example, where they have re-chipped cartridges that they have filled with non-HP ink and then trade the cartridge out. even still, if the HP printer detects that you're using a non-HP cartridge, it'll brick the printer. And if you've ever had a phone that you tried to hack into or unlock or whatever, and Apple bricked it, now you just have a useless hunk of junk on your hands, a brick. You know, it's really frustrating with a printer because HP really subsidizes the cost of those printers, and everybody does. You know, Kodak recently did an experiment where they said, you know, we'll charge you the real price for the printer, and then you pay the real price for the ink. And you'll see how much you save. It'll make your ink refills with Kodak a lot cheaper. The analysis at the end of the day was that the Kodak prints cost about the same at the end of the day as buying from anybody else, and we all see where that got Kodak right now.
Right. Well, a few weeks
Chapter
ago
11.
they announced, yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So is there? Can you still refill these cartridges then?
You can't refill them anymore. No, Mike. You have to throw away the little drill and the bag of ink. If you've been saving that for a tough time, you know, in case of apocalypse or zombie attack, you can refill your ink. You can't do that anymore.
Well, I'm saving money in clothing. That's what I'm doing.
What about laser printers?
Laser printers are interesting because they used to be like the bastion of safety. It is still cheaper to print on a laser printer per page than it is on a inkjet. The challenge is, of course, laser printers are black and white, so there's no color, and you can get color laser printers, but if you've ever bought, like I thought I was the king. I mean, I had this color laser printer. It was a huge thing. It had 4 toner cartridges in it.
Right,
and I could,
it's so loud
oh,
and
yeah,
huge. We have one of those at home.
I could print laser color. It was a beautiful thing, but then when the cartridges go empty on you, it was more than the cost of the printer to refill or replace the cartridges.
The magenta or the yellow, whatever it is that's going, it hurts every time you have to buy one of those new.
Yeah, it was cheaper to buy a whole new printer with the cartridges. Now, the same thing happens when you buy a new printer at the store. The cartridges are only a quarter full. They want you to buy new cartridges. So whenever you buy a new printer, stop on your way out the door and pick up some extra cartridges.
Bottom line print less.
If you can, print less, but more importantly, don't buy the refill cartridges at your local big box store. Go to a refill place like a Cartridge World, for example, or there's a whole bunch of places. Just do a Google search, you'll find some place that'll do it, because the cost of the cartridges is literally half at those places than it is if you take it out. And you can refill toner cartridges. They're doing the same thing now. They're putting a bag of toner in there, shrinking it down so there's less toner in the bag so you run out faster. So big cartridge, itty bitty bag.
I feel like you've got to be smarter than the cartridge, and I'm not sure that I am. SchrockInnovations.com is the website, and you'll find Thor and his team at one of 3 locations in Omaha, in Papillion, that's the newest, and then still in Lincoln as well, and we know we reach plenty of you there. So just take a look there if you have any questions. His team, always helpful as you are when you come on the morning.
Well, thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it.
Change those passwords, especially if you're Amazon users, right?
No,
absolutely.
Great message.